All right, I'm ready. What is up, podcast fam? Welcome back to the Babs Life podcast. My guest today, who I'm super excited to have, is none other than the fantastic Madi Maple. What's going on? How are you? Welcome on the podcast.
Oh my God, I love that intro. Thank you. I'm
I'm
so
trying.
excited to be here.
I'm trying something new with the intros. I don't do intros too much, but the last few, I've been trying to do like, you know what? I gotta preference this a little. I gotta get the people excited for who I'm having on because I'm excited to have people on. So, you know.
Love it. I feel very welcome and I'm honored to be here.
No, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. We're going to dive right into this because I have so much that I want to talk with you about. You are a raver, a DJ, a life coach, an event retreat planner, a podcaster. You do all these different hats, all these different things, which I relate to in so many ways because I feel like I do a lot of different things as well. But, you know, diving into that, how did you come into all that? Like what was the start and all that? Where are your beginnings from? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start from the beginning and kind of give like a rundown of my whole story. So yeah, I grew up in Utah. I currently live in Salt Lake right now, but I grew up here in a town called Kaysville. And like I feel like Kaysville sounds like a small, boring town. And it is. It's exactly that. And it's a very Mormon area where pretty much everyone there is Mormon. And so that's where I grew up. I went to elementary, junior high, high school, and it was just the community in Utah and especially where I lived, which is like pretty far outside of Salt Lake. It's just a completely different place, like completely different universe. And I grew up just feeling very insecure, very restricted and like what I could do and who I could be. I mean, growing up in the religion, it's very strict. Like you can't drink tea, you can't drink coffee, you can't kiss, you can't cuddle, you can't like even just certain things as a woman, like you're not meant to do, like you're very much supposed to play this role. There's different types of music you can't listen to, like pretty much everything that I was, which is like a tea and coffee loving, rap loving, not dressing modest loving person. Um, it was just like everything that was in my community was against pretty much everything that I was. And so I lived my teenage years really feeling like I had to hide parts of myself. Like when I
Mm.
was dating my boyfriend in high school, I would like take changes of clothes with me to school just in case I had to like go anywhere where I had to dress modest and I would like change. And I had like a nose piercing that was like a separated septum. And so then I could like flip it up if I was like around people who would judge me. Right. So it was like all these little pieces of me I just like had to keep hidden or else I was judged and honestly not even just judged, like you're not accepted, right? Like if I stopped going to church, like people would be knocking on my door trying to figure out like what was wrong with me for like not for like skipping church for a couple weeks. So that's kind of where like I guess my origin story begins and like a big part of why I am now the way I am and why I'm so um passionate about helping people into their authenticity and into their confidence because at that time in my life I was not doing well, just like my mental health, my confidence, my self-esteem. I really didn't like my life or who I was or anything at all, really. And once I left the church and I found music festivals, start going to festivals, and it was the most drastic change to go from a community that tells you exactly who to be than to be in a community that tells you there are no rules. You can be whoever you want, do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and we're gonna love you was the craziest change in the world. And just changing environments and coming into the EDM community, it allowed me to find my authenticity. And with that, funny enough, my mental health, my self-esteem, my confidence also all shifted with that. And that's when I really realized like your confidence and your well-being and your quality of life is so deeply rooted in how much of yourself you are being and how authentic you are, how genuine you are. And yeah, how much you just don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. Like that is,
Yeah.
what, yeah, what just creates so much joy. And so from there, it's just was kind of a snowball. Like I learned that lesson. And then I moved to LA. I started my business. And then that, obviously like I was still doing things in the music scene and my business just kept growing and growing. Then I started doing in-person events and I started DJing. After that, it was just kind of like a domino effect of following exactly that, my authenticity and what I truly wanted to do, what felt good to me, and what felt like just me, just like so deeply me. I wasn't living for anyone else. So that's kind of my story.
No, that's a beautiful origin story, and I kind of want to backtrack a bit if that's okay with you, because
Yeah.
something that stood out to me was the being heavily involved in the church, and then pivoting and going about finding yourself in a new way. Was there a moment of that you can think back to of when you were like, I don't know if this church thing is for me anymore? And talk a little bit about that process, because I know, and the reason I'm asking is because myself, I grew up very involved in the church and my family being very involved in the church. And one of my parents still very involved. So
Mm,
it was a weird thing for me to go through that and realize, oh wait, this isn't, like I had something happen in life where I was like, what is this? This was not preached in the, like, I was not used to that.
yeah.
And it just kind of hit me one day of like, I don't know about this. And it was a very weird time of trying to navigate that, because you've been told, like you said, one thing your whole life, and you full-heartedly believed it probably for a while, just like I did. And then getting out of it, you do have to like rediscover yourself. And you're almost, not to say you're held back, but that's the term that comes to mind. It's like you're almost like you were held back from finding yourself for so many years, and that creates this like weird angst of navigating that. And eventually, we come out of it. I think we both did. We came out great. But for those sorts, anyone that might be listening, or just anyways, that origin story stuck out to me, just of how, was there a moment? Because I can think back to my life, and I'm like, yeah, there was kind of a moment or two where all of a sudden it started, started with maybe one thing, and I was like, yeah. But then another
Totally.
thing happened. I'm like, okay, maybe there is something different.
Totally. Yeah. And, just to speak on like what that experience was actually like for me, I feel like the big word that kept coming up for me as you were talking was just like guilt. Like I really did wholehearted, like even though I started doubting the church, um yeah, it was the only thing I ever knew and I believed that it was true, but I believed that I was not going to be able to follow it, if that makes sense. Like there were parts, okay, how do I explain this? Yeah, I started having beliefs that didn't line up with the church. Just a lot of the strict rules, like me and my friend, we did just start questioning it. And we were just like question it in school because we went to seminary, which is like you go to church during school, like in high school. And so we'd like be in seminary and we would like ask our teachers like questions like, we don't understand this. Can you explain this more? And they would explain it and we would be like, we would just look at each other like, that's the stupidest answer ever. Like that doesn't even make sense. Like some of the
Yeah.
yeah, some of the questions
Or
we
it
even
leaves you
asked.
more confused. You're like, wait, I'm actually lost even more now. Like,
Yeah, I was just like that doesn't even, or like they would just tell me, I don't know, you just have to have faith. And I'm like, okay, I understand having faith, but like you're telling me like this rule about this random thing and like it doesn't make sense. And they're like, well, you just have to follow it. That's what I don't know. It just was like starting to feel very like, when your parent just tells you no for no reason and it makes you even more mad? That's how it felt. Like I
yes.
just felt like, what am I even doing? Why am I even doing this? And so some of my beliefs, you know, uh, compared to the church's beliefs, weren't lining up. And I felt so strong about how I felt. And obviously, like the church had like its doctrine. And I was like, okay, I feel myself like falling away from this. But it was confusing because I still believed that that was the only true church. Like I believed that like if I wasn't in this church, I was fucked. And so that created like all this guilt for like being who I was. I just felt so like guilty and like ashamed and like why, yeah, like why do I not believe in the church? Because now I'm going to go to hell. Like obviously now I know that's not true, but in that time I was like, yeah, it felt scary, but I knew how I felt and I knew that I didn't fully believe in the church, and I knew like I listened to my intuition. And I think that is like what, helped me follow my own path, is just like trusting how I felt over something else, even if it meant like something bad. Like even if they're
Yeah.
saying like, oh, if you don't follow church, like you're gonna go to hell. I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go to hell because this is how I feel. And I like stayed so true to that.
So
Yeah.
you, during that time of navigating out of that and into your new self, was that really it? Just like you find those things that you believed in yourself and just sticking with that, and that's kind of what helped you navigate that. Because, like I said, even for when I went back and mine was in high school when I kind of started to get away from the church, it was a very I can't put a time frame on how long it took me to finally feel like okay about things, but I'm sure it was a year or longer. I'm sure that was similar for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you were holding on to. You were holding on to like these are my certain beliefs, and I'm just gonna stick with that, and that's gonna be my driving force.
Exactly. I think I've always been very like I was saying, like I trust how I feel more than anything. And I think a lot of people they lose connection with themselves because they
Yeah,
believe what other people say over what their intuition is telling them. Um, but yeah, I always had like it was very natural for me to listen to like how I felt, and then I almost just followed it like a compass, right? Like anything that felt good, I was like, yes, more of this. And then anything that didn't feel good, I was like, never again. Like I don't
yeah,
care what anyone
yeah,
says, like I just follow this like yeah, internal compass.
yeah.
Um,
That gut feeling is what,
the
to
gut
dumb it down,
feeling.
like to me, for me, like that gut feeling you have, and it is.
Exactly.
It's funny you say that you think people get out of touch with it, because I think that is so true. I think a lot of people nowadays are really out of touch with themselves in that sense. And it's funny too, on the flip side of that, when you start listening to that gut feeling on small things, it gets bigger, it builds more, it builds more, it just builds more. And that intuition builds, and you just can start doing those things so much easier and identifying. And again, going back to the other side of it, you can start really identifying those things you don't like or are not a fan
Yeah.
of or making you anxious and scared a lot quicker when you're more in tune with yourself. It's something I obviously work on daily, but it is, once you notice it and you start picking up on those small things, it's like it is life
Yeah.
changing in a sense.
Oh my God, your intuition is an actual superpower. Like when kids are like, "Oh, what superpower would you have?" And you're like, "Oh, I wish I could like read people's minds or I could like see the future or something." Like your intuition is a superpower just like those are. Like it will tell you everything. If you are in tune with that, you are like 100 times more powerful than if you were going off of like straight logic. If you were always living from your mind and like obviously logic is a good thing and the mind is very powerful and like we need our mind, but if you're only running from that and you're only living your life through what makes sense in your head, like you're missing out on so much. Like you're missing out on a completely different experience of life because your intuition is ultimately going to lead you to what you're meant to experience and what you're meant to create, which is like
Yeah,
going to also lead you to the greatest things that you're manifesting. So if you're sitting here like trying to manifest your dream life and trying to create everything you want and follow your dreams, and you're only like thinking about how to get there instead of following what feels good, then it's going to take you a lot longer to get there than if you just listen to the body and the heart and the intuition. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. That resonates with me so much. I just had I can't go into the details, but I had a similar situation just occur where something in my gut was just like, no. And it's
Yeah.
a situation where money was involved, and like, hey, you have an opportunity here. And it was like, okay, yeah. And I'm thinking about it. But like the second I heard the opportunity, something hit me of like, don't do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and
Mhm.
that's weird, right? And then you talk to people and they're like, why would you not do it? And you're like, well, because I don't know, I don't know how to explain it. Something's telling me not to do it. And so I ended up going with my gut and my intuition and saying not to do it. And it felt so good too. And that's the other thing that people don't like to tell you, or don't really tell you, is like when you go with your gut and if the answer is no and you say no, the feeling you get of just like like,
Yeah.
and it washes over you, and the anxiety of the decision's gone, or what could happen if you said yes, it's gone. It's like just out the door, and you just feel like you're
Mm.
back on that path.
Yeah. So for you, like when you say no and you realize that no was the right decision, you feel like relief. what do you feel like is your full fuck yes? Like, how do you personally know in your body that it's like full fuck yes?
Ooh, that's a great question. Um, I would say a full like when I have that, it's almost like a feeling of euphoria in a sense.
Mm,
Not like craziness, but enough to where you get energy and you get giddy because you're just like happier. I don't
totally.
know. Yeah, I don't know how to. That's a great question, but
No, I
yeah,
love the
definitely
word
happy on the
giddy.
sense of like, yeah, giddy's a great way because you're not like euphoric in a sense of like I'm on cloud nine, but you are definitely happy and you're like, yeah, that was a good call. And because and again, like you kind of realize it like initially, it's your mind when you start going back and forth. And I am such a overthinker, so I will analyze a situation way too much.
Yeah.
And but if I can just make a decision off that first gut instinct, things go so much better. And normally the cause of, my anxiety or anything is because I'm just overthinking it. When in reality is I already know the answer that I really wanted. So
Yeah.
that's a great question. I love that. Yeah. How do you feel about that? How about I gotta throw it back at you? How do you feel about that when you have a gut answer that you align with?
Oh yeah, no, I feel like I get so much energy running through my body that I feel like I can't sit still. That's why I was saying I love the word giddy because I think it's like I get the urge to like squeal. Like I like need to get out of my seat and I'm like
Yes.
like like I don't know, I just feel and I'm very impulsive and like I guess not impulsive has like a negative connotation, but like when I get an impulse, when I get an urge, it's like I need to do it immediately and I'm very much a generator, so I'll like I could be like on my deathbed and I have like an idea that's like exciting and it's like a full fuck yes. And all of a sudden my energy completely shifts. I'm jumping out of bed. I'm like, this is so exciting. I'm opening my laptop. Like, a lot of times it's like with my work and stuff like that. So like open my laptop, I'm like starting to create something, starting to create the branding or the logo or writing down downloads that are coming. Like it's like it gives me ultimate energy. Whereas if something, and that doesn't mean that it's always easy, but if I feel like the feeling of dread, right? It's that's like
Yes.
like a telltale sign that like it's not for me. Like I should like want to like take action on it. And so I always tell people like so many people struggle with their motivation. And for me, I like don't really believe in like when it comes to motivation, I think that it comes more naturally than you think it does. And people think they need to like muster up all this for motivation or they have to like wait for the motivation to come. But motivation should be there naturally if what you're doing is in alignment. So if you like literally can't get yourself to do something, like I don't really believe in discipline. I believe in like natural motivation through alignment, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
sometimes it will take a little bit of consistency. And again, like it won't always be easy, right? It doesn't mean that every single day I wake up and I'm like, wow, creating a piece of content is sounds like the best thing in the world and I want to do it so badly. But
Okay, yeah.
I don't wake up and I'm like dragging my feet to try to do it. I try to find, okay, what's a topic that I'm just using content as an example because for me it is
No, I
something
love
that
that.
I have
I
to
can
like
relate to it. Yeah.
right? Be consistent on. And so there's like a difference. Dragging your feet and being like, oh, like I have to do this and like I really don't want to, but like I have to be disciplined and I just like have to do it, right? That's one experience. The other experience is waking up and being like, I am creating a business I'm obsessed with. To create that, I have to be consistent with my content. How can I shift my mindset or how can I find a topic that I want to create or like a topic that I want to create content about or how can I find a trend that excites me to invigorate this natural motivation to create. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wrote that down because it was so meaningful to me actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's interesting because and I can only relate it to myself, so I don't want to sound like too much about me, but when I go to create, right, I
Yeah.
do find at times you're right, dragging my feet is not the right word, but I almost like I need to give myself a little oomph. And then when I get into that role of it, of course I'm happy and I'm like, why did I wait?
Yeah.
A perfect example is sometimes for me creating like short form content with TikTok or Instagram, I may not feel ready to do it on like say a Wednesday. Like say today I was gonna do it. I put it in my calendar. And I might be at first, I might be like, ah dang, I gotta do this. I need to do it. And then the second I sit down and maybe scroll a little bit through TikTok to get some inspiration from sounds that are trending and stuff of that nature.
Hmm.
And the second I start drafting things and ideas, it's like it starts flowing. But I almost have to like get that flow going a little bit and
Exactly.
get in the present to do it versus like because at first it is a little bit like yeah, but dragon's not the right word. I'm trying to put the right word into what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, it does take me a minute or two to like jump in the water completely. That's a perfect analogy, actually. Yeah, I like to like dip
Yeah.
my toe a little and then I jump in versus like just I don't just jump in.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Like I'm very in flow, so I'm a dabbler also. I don't like wake up and yeah, jump into the water. I very like it might take me some time to like start creating my content. But again, like if I'm feeling that like resistance and I'm feeling really like dread, like I don't want to do this, it is a
Mhm.
sign that like there are beliefs or energies that I'm holding that are preventing me from being in that natural alignment where there is a natural motivation. So like you said, like scrolling on TikTok to find something that does excite you and does motivate you and gets like something like, "Ooh, okay, yeah, 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 I want to do this." Or for me, like if I wake up and I'm like, "Okay, I need to create some content." And yeah, I'm like dilly-dallying and I'm like not doing it. Instead of being like, "Okay, Maddie, just sit down and do it." I'll be like, "You know what? I'm going to make a cup of cacao and I'm going to meditate for 15 minutes and I'm going to ask the universe, what should I create content about today?" And I'll meditate. Maybe I'll dance a little bit. Maybe I'll like get ready. Like maybe I just feel ugly and like I just put some makeup on. Maybe I'll go sit in my hot tub for a little
Yeah.
bit. And then I get out and I'm like, oh my God, I just had the craziest idea while I was in the hot tub sipping my cacao. I have to post about this. This is so epic. That's where you want to be.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yes. Okay. Mhm.
yeah,
I have two things on this.
yeah.
One, I totally agree with that. I almost think it's where when your mind is wanting something, those when your focus is there, actually, that's the best way to put it, is when your focus is on that, the ideas and the dedication and inspiration kind of come to it. And that's when you're on that path because for instance, I could say again with creating content, if it's like I hate editing. Let's put it at this. This is a perfect way. I've said this so many times in the podcast, but I hate editing. So
Mm,
for me to sit down and edit, I really had to get down and muster, like what you're talking about, where I was like, oh gosh, I just do not want to do this, but I have to do it because it's
yeah.
part of the process. So it that part to me sucks. Like I hate it. And so as soon as I can get rid of that, I'm getting rid of that. Someone else is doing it.
Yeah.
but the opposite effect of that is I'm not, that's not where my dedication is. My dedication is creating the video, creating the piece of content, filming, being in front of the camera, coming on this podcast and talking. I love that stuff. I live for this stuff. The second
Yeah.
I get on this call, I was ready to go. You know what I mean? Like I get more pumped and I get more excited as the time goes up. But yeah, that focus there is on that. Like for me, it's like I love creating the content, but I hate editing it. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so that focus though is what is that driving force behind it. Because I mean, I can be, there's other things I can focus on, but when you really love something and focus on it, these outside pieces just start flowing in. And next thing you know, it's almost like it's its own energy generator because it's like you're feeding out to it and then something new is coming back into it. And it's just like keeps flowing that way.
Hmm. Yeah, and I feel like some of those tasks that are a part of the process but aren't our favorite, I almost like to think of them as like love letters to the creative process in a sense. Like I feel, yeah, I feel like you have to almost put all this like love intention into it because it is like part of the process. Like for example, like doing contracts for my clients or something. Yes, usually I have like my assistant do those now, but when I was doing my contracts, I'd have to sit down and like really be like, I am doing this for all of the things that I love. Like
Right.
there, it's not just like a separate thing that I hate to do. It's something that contributes to like something so much more beautiful. Like for example, this is a great other example. Like people who are building businesses, but they're not full time in their business yet and they still have a job. A lot of times I'm helping clients transition into like, going into their business full time. And so they'll still have a job and they just have this mindset around it where it's totally separate from the dream that they're building. It's like, this job is taking away from the business, but really it's like this beautiful love letter to the business. It's like this beautiful dedication to the business because if you didn't have that job, you would be broke and you wouldn't have the time or the energy or the nervous system or stability to be able to put the energy that you're putting into the thing that you love the most. So like you get to have this job that then like, helps you build this bigger dream life. It's not separate from the dream life. It's like a part of it. And it's like that duality, right? So I always try to help my clients like really shift how they view these it's a stepping stone, right? It's
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah. No, that was beautiful. You have such a way of portraying this where like it clicks for me because that's all the stuff I believe in personally. It's like if you're not comfortable with taking that risk 100% of just hey, I'm gonna flat out be broke and just make this work, and you need to do those stepping stones 100%. It's a love letter to your passion or whatever that passion is. It
Yeah.
also really gives you a newfound respect for those things that you like don't. For me, the editing, I respect the crap out of my editor. I'm like, you are the man because he'll give me something back, and I'm like, dude, I know that would have taken me 5 hours to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, there's no way I could have done it in the time you just did it. And so it's like it's just funny to think about that because I'm like, yeah, that is, and it's, yeah, it's amazing in that sense because I'm like, I respect that so much because I want nothing to do with it anymore.
Mhm.
But um, I want to backtrack just a little bit because you mentioned the dreadingness and the fear of something and how that's kind of like a indication of you shouldn't go that way. But I've always thought about this too in a sense of sometimes when you fear something, you're almost on the verge of going on the right path. And let me bring this thought out a bit because it takes some it needs some legs to keep going. But in a sense of you're scared of the failure of it. So that's what I mean by that is like you have a goal and you maybe for instance, let's just say it's a video that comes to you and you're like, I need to create that video. I need to create those tips, whatever it is. And you are scared to do that filming or scared to write that script and film it and edit it. And the reality is that that's a good idea, but you're more fearful of the failure of it. But
Mm.
sometimes you got to realize, like I've had things where I don't realize that why I'm scared of it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared to do this. Why am I so scared? And then someone's like, dude, it's because like that's what you've been trying to do and you're like heading toward the right path and you're almost just nervous to keep going on it.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's putting you in danger. Like your brain and your nervous system looks at change as like a life-threatening danger. And so that's why like sometimes the fear is really intense. And yeah, you're like, it's just a video. Like I'm just posting my first
Yeah.
podcast, or I'm just, gonna talk to this boy or this girl for the first time that I like. But the fear feels like debilitating. Like I actually like can't do it because we see it as like a literal danger to our life. Our brain can't really comprehend like what's just like scary and like it can't comprehend which change is like just a little bit of change that's going to lead to our success or like a little bit of change that's going to lead to like our demise. So, yeah, for sure. I think that when it comes to that fear, some people do confuse it for like, oh, this is fear that's telling me to like not go after this. But you do have to think about like the end result and feel into if that's a fuck yes, because there are going to be like scary things along the way. Like, okay, for example, me growing my business is a full fuck yes. Like me imagining where my business can be if I like bring in new audience members and I have like a couple viral videos that really reach like my ideal clientele. Full fuck yes, right? Like I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Like I want
Yeah.
this. I love this. TikTok, not a full fuck yes for me. TikTok, thinking about creating a video is like I would rather do anything else, literally. Um, but because I know that the end goal is that full fuck yes, I literally just take the fear as like, yeah, it's literally just my brain trying to stop me from change because it knows that if I take action on this, like things may change. Like, um, yeah.
So what I've gathered from that, and it dawned on me while we were discussing, is that really the end goal is what's so important, to have that vision that you want and that foresight for what you want, and then knowing from that if that idea or that job, whatever it is what's going to lead you to that end goal. And that alone helps direct you with the fear of whatever it is, the fear of creating, the fear of progressing. And instead of having that fear hold you back, you're using that fear as an indicator of a
Mm,
sense in that standpoint. Because the fear can also, I've heard that quote before, the devil puts fear in your life to hold you back, keep you at that low vibration you're at. When the reality is, if you just do that thing that you fear, you know what? It's perfect. I'm going all over the place here, but fear and dread are two different things too. As we're talking, I'm realizing you were talking
that's
about dreading
exactly what I was just
something.
gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as we're talking, I'm realizing, all right, I'm thinking of two different things. Yeah, dreading something and dragging your feet to not do it is a great indication of, yeah. If you hate to go to work at your McDonald's job in college, yeah, that probably maybe get rid of that. But if you
Yeah.
fear going to your internship because it's a big change and it might lead to your, first job out of college or whatever the situation is, that's
Mm.
way different than the other one.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like when you think about like your bigger vision and say that it's not a full fuck yes. Like you're like, "Oh, I really want to do this," but maybe it's not an authentic desire. Maybe it's like society's desire or your parents' desire or something that yeah, like you just think that you should want. And then you're like, "Oh, like why can't I do this? Why like you're setting all these goals, you're trying to like implement these habits and you're like, "Why can't I do it? Like am I just a piece of shit? Am I just lazy? Why can't I find motivation?" It's like, no, your bigger vision just isn't actually yours and it's not a full fuck yes, and you don't want it bad enough. Because in my business, for example, I do a lot of things that I don't necessarily want to do. But when I think about my bigger vision, that's such a full fuck yes, and it motivates me so much that I do have that natural motivation to do the things that I maybe don't necessarily love. So yeah, there's like a big difference between not wanting to do something because you like don't actually want that vision that badly and then having a full fuck yes vision but like not really wanting to do things or being fearful of things but like doing it anyway because like deep down like this is what you're meant to create and it makes it easier, like you're actually able to take action towards those things, whereas if it's something that's not in alignment for you or it's not for you, like it probably really feels like a I can't, like I can't do this.
No, I totally understand it. I mean, literally just as we were talking through that, I could think back to times where I dreaded something like I had a previous job that like after a year and I started to hate it, I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta go into this, sucks.
Yeah.
But making that change of like moving home, starting over. Yeah, lots of
Mhm.
things in the way of that, that are scary. Oh my God, I don't have an income anymore. Where am I
Yeah.
going to go next? Am I going to live at home? Am I going to, what's going to happen? But at the end of the day, that was just fear because I knew that was the right move. It was going to work out.
Yeah.
So, no, totally.
I f
Yes, a
I feel
hundred
like
percent can relate to
another great example just to throw this in here because this is a very
that.
common one about working out. Someone might be listening to us talk and they're like, "Okay, well, what about working out? Like, I dread going to the gym, but, like, I know that that's good for me. I know that I'm meant to be doing that. So you're telling me just to not work out because I'm dreading it and I don't wanna do it?" Let me just tell you, when I started working with my health coach last year, she was like, "You need to go walk on the treadmill for, like, an hour every single day." This was I couldn't. Like, I would like, I guys, I run, like, a successful business, I work all day, like, I've always been very fit, I used to go to the gym every single day, I would do, like, bodybuilding for, like, 2 hours a day, like, I'm not lazy. When I tell you I could not get my ass down to my apartment gym that's literally downstairs, I couldn't do it, and so my coach was like, "Okay, we need to get you moving somehow, like, what feels exciting to you?" And I was like, I've always wanted to try Pilates. Like it just seems like cute and fun. So I found a Pilates studio down like next to my house and I fucking loved this shit. Like I went every single day, like booked my sessions every day, made it a priority. It felt so fun. I would like get dressed cute, get in my car, go to my little studio. It was such a vibe. I could not get myself to walk downstairs and just walk on the treadmill, but doing this other thing that felt exciting was like, yeah, it was just like so fun for me. So I just wanted to like throw in that example for anyone listening that's like a very relatable, I would say like um universal experience that
Oh
kind of
no,
relates to that.
100%. I totally get on board with that. Yeah, getting active and being physical, so important. And if you can find something you love while doing that, so much easier. So much
Yeah.
easier. And time flies by. Like I'm sure like that Pilates class that you love, it's like an hour, an hour long, but then in reality you're like, that was quick, we're done already. And then it makes that exercise, getting those exercise rings closed on your Apple Watch so much easier.
Exactly. Exactly. Love it.
um, I love that you spoke about the end goal and the vision. And that stood out to me because in the last 3 months or so, I kind of hit the goal I had originally set for myself with my stuff. And it was super weird because I came out weird myself. But it was super weird because I hit that goal and then it was like, okay, now what? Where do I go? And it was a good 3 months or so where I was like kind of in limbo, it felt, like, okay, I'm still putting out some content, but I don't know where this is going.
Mm,
Do I keep going? Do I just maintain it? And it took me some time to sit down with myself and really hammer out a vision that I was comfortable with and liked and excited for, as we all spoke about. But do you have any tips for those that maybe, are in something that they're like, I'm not sure what my end goal is? How do they align themselves to find that end goal? Because, like you said, it is so important to have that vision and achieve for it. And it makes it so much easier because again, those 3 months of limbo, it was like, why am I even creating content? I don't know what I want to do. And then you have
yeah.
to fight to create. And then when you have that vision, you're like, I know exactly why I got to do this video today because it's helped me get there. And
Yeah.
anyways, I get excited just talking about it because it gets me excited. But any advice you have for people with the end goal and finding that vision?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So for people who have had like kind of like you were speaking about, like they have had an end vision, but they've achieved it, I think it's okay to have a break. I actually think it's very healthy to have a break where you're not just jumping into the next goal and jumping into the next thing. Like our society right now is very growth focused. And I also think it's fine to just like chill for a little bit. And if you think about a tree, like if you keep just trying to grow taller, 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 taller without pausing and allowing the roots to grow deeper into the ground, you're going to grow so tall, you're just going to fall over. You have to take that time to just stop, chill the fuck out, do nothing for a minute, especially if you just achieved a huge goal. Enjoy it. You don't have to jump into the next thing. Integrate, relax. Like I did that for pretty much all of last year. Like I fucking chilled. Like when I say I chilled, like I was just like chilling. But I had worked nonstop for like 3 years before that. And I needed, again, yeah, that time to recollect and go through some things and really just ground down and ground my roots and more so that I can open myself to new experiences and new ideas and new ventures and gain energy to be able to uh, implement these new ventures, before like shooting up again and growing. And so I think it's very, very natural to not have an end goal. Like, can we please normalize just chilling? Like, please just chill out. That being said, for those of you listening that are, maybe really like you didn't just achieve an end vision. You've kind of felt lost for a long time and you're like, I really want to find this end vision. My advice to you would be go smaller. Like if you struggle to find what you want, go smaller. Don't think about what do I like what do I want for my whole life? What legend, do
Yeah.
I like do I want to leave behind and or legend isn't the right word. What
Legacy. I got you.
legacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. What legacy do I want to leave behind and like what career do I want to do for the next 50 years? Well, no
Oh,
wonder
that'd
you
be
feel right? No wonder you
Yeah.
feel stressed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. It
What?
gets you almost like it's almost like debilitating because it's so mind-boggling. So you're
Yeah.
like, yeah. Anyway, continue. We're on a great point.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. No wonder people feel like suffocated by thinking about like, what is my purpose? What am I doing with my life? Because we're not meant to think about what we're meant to do with our whole entire life, you know, 80 to 100 years of our life. Like, you're not, no, you're just meant to listen to what feels good right now. I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan. I don't know what legacy I want to leave behind. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to be doing next year. I have no idea. Also, I like some of us, we evolve very quickly. We could like one food today and tomorrow we're like, that is nauseating. I can never eat that. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to evolve. Our identity is supposed to shift. And if you allow that flexibility, choosing what vision you want to chase and you want to strive for right now in this moment isn't going to feel as scary. It just feels like, oh, well, this isn't a forever thing. This is just what I'm going to choose for right now. And then if at any point it doesn't feel good anymore, change it. Do you know how many times I've like changed my niche and how many different offers and programs and masterclasses I've created as a coach? I'm changing every single second. I'm like, now I want to talk about body image. Now I'm going to do only business for like 6 months. And then I like stop taking one-on-one clients. And then I'm like, I'm only taking one-on-one clients. Like, obviously that more resonates to people that have like a business and possibly like coaches. But, you could be listening to Screamo one day and then you're listening to reggae. It's like, allow things to shift. It eases the pressure and then you can actually figure it out. Also, meditation is your best friend. If you don't know what you want, like sit in a meditation and don't try to think about what you want. Literally just sit there and ask, what do I want? What do I want? And allow the downloads to come to you and like feel it in your heart. Don't try to like logically think about it. Just stillness will do so much for you. Like so much for you. Yeah. Sorry, that was
Yeah,
like really
it's
long.
no, you're fine. It was awesome. I know that's yeah, I can the stillness is something I have to work on because I am a very like go, go, go type of person. And then even like laying in bed, like it's just like it's just churning. Like I have to find time in my day or find time in the week where I'm like just all right, we're just gonna hang and I have to really get into that point or that mindset of like, hey, this is just a hang. Like we're just hanging. It's not work here. Let's not do this. Let's just
Mm,
enjoy this for the moment that it is. And those are nice. Those are amazing and great recharges that are much needed, especially when you are a go, go, go person. But I'll be honest, it's taken time for me to realize that and be like, hey, I can't be 24/7,
yeah.
as much as I would probably like to be, I can't. And it's okay. And number two is so important is it's okay, like you just said, it's okay to take a break. And whether that break is a day or that break is a month, come to terms with it, do it, be okay with it, and then just do it. Because I would kick myself a lot of times where, if I set a schedule like, hey, on Wednesday I'm gonna shoot content and say Wednesday came and it just wasn't a good day at work and I'm coming home tired more than usual and I'm not in the mood to do content. I would beat myself up if I didn't do content. When in reality, if I just sat down and go, look, we're tired today. Let's take the break. We know we can do it tomorrow at XYZ time. Let's just plan for it then. Like again, as long as I have a plan for it, I'm not just throwing it away. But
Mm,
it took a lot of time for me to be like, hey, we needed that break. Let's not beat ourselves up. We just need the night. That's okay.
mm,
So that's some advice that has come to me over the years, and um, it's taken time for real. It's taken a lot of time to realize that like it's okay. I can relax. I can still get these things done. It's okay to go do a dinner with family and stuff of that nature. It's important to do those things actually. So for anyone listening with that, hopefully that hits home with some other people. But
yeah.
um, something. What are your thoughts on? You just did your thoughts on like a break and realigning with yourself. And have you ever have you ever done those where you're like taking a full month, not necessarily off, but like
Oh yeah.
taking a month to just get away from the hectic day to day and change it up and just think about those things that you want to do going forward, acknowledge the things you've done in the past. I mean, have you done those? How vital are those? What are your thoughts with the breaking time?
Yeah. No, I've taken lots of breaks. I take lots and lots of breaks. Um, and I feel like it's so good for I just don't put pressure on anything, and I feel like if I'm forcing something, it's not going to be very good anyway. So I just yeah, I just don't really force it. And like I said, I wait for myself to have that like alignment and natural motivation. Um, so I've had times where I've taken like a month off of Instagram or a week, or I haven't posted a podcast in like 6 to 8 weeks because it's just like not where my energy is right now. A lot of people I know, like they would literally be caught dead before they did that. Like they literally will get an episode out every single week. Um, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
My cat just jumped up. Um, baby. Yeah, so I'm very pro break. And here's the thing, I've still been able to make all of my dreams come true. I still, my business is doing just fine, even if I take a couple podcasts off. So I love to be that example for my clients, even that like you can just change things and be authentic and be genuine, and things are still going to work out. Yeah, like even when I take a break, my business just does just as well or sometimes better that month by taking a break off. Um, and so
When you
everything,
take those, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you ask. Go.
I was gonna say, when you take those breaks, are you just kind of going with the flow of that break, or do you kind of have a vision for that break? And the reason I ask is like when I recently just did like a month off and I took a month. I have the ability to work remote, so not everyone can do this, but I took a month out in Colorado and just
Mhm.
wanted to get away and just hang out and think about things. But the whole point of me taking that month off in my head and my planning, I guess I should say planning with parentheses or quotations, but my whole thought with that was I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get away, and I'm just going to reevaluate where I want to be and what I'm doing
Mm.
on a day-to-day basis. And it was awesome. But do you take those breaks as they come, or do you take them a little bit planning, or maybe the longer ones more planning, shorter ones as they come? Like, what's your general thought with that, or process, I
Yeah.
should say?
Yeah. Mm. I have had some in the past that were very much planned. Um, like I had one specifically, I think it was like December 2022, where I was like, I'm going completely off grid, and like my assistant took care of like my DMs, and she would like forward things to me via text that like were super important. Like I did not talk to anybody or see anybody. And I think I was in Mexico at the time, and I really like just needed to turn completely off. This is kind of the start of
Yeah.
that era I was talking about. Like all of 2023 was a lot about like regulating my nervous system and just recollecting myself. And I just had come out of like a big launch and everything. But then I'll even have intentional breaks where, say in my business, I'll still be on social media and I'll be creating content. But for February, I had like an intentional no selling break. So that means like I don't talk about any of my offers, I don't sell anything, I don't pitch anything. I just was trying to add value and get people to know me on the internet and just provide like fun personality content. So I'll also do stuff like that. But then sometimes I just wake up and I'm like, I feel so out of alignment. My shadows are coming up. I'm in my ego. I'm in my head. And I'm just like, you know what? I just need to not post for a minute because I know that like what I create is coming from, yeah, not like a good place. And so I'll try to like focus on just like music and meditation. And sometimes it's like a little more sporadic like that too. Hmm. Feel like there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like you have to just listen to yourself. Like, what do I need right now to get back into alignment?
It
And like,
goes right back to where we were starting with that. Yeah, that how to get
exactly.
back in tune with yourself, and where do you feel that at most? And if it's calling you to go up in a cabin and and disconnect for a week, you do it. If it's taking a nap after work, you do it. If it's,
Exactly.
if it is grinding at that time, you do grind at that time. So I get that.
Yeah. And
Uh,
when you just listen to it, you come out of it way quicker. Like I've noticed when I'm not feeling my best and I try to force it, like, yeah, it stays with me. Like it continues because I keep pushing it. And even though my body is like, take a nap, take a nap, take a nap. As soon as I take a nap, I feel like fucking amazing. Like I feel like I've never felt in my life. Even, you might feel like absolute shit and you're like, I'm gonna take a month break. After 2 days, just because you listen to yourself, you feel inspired again. You're like, I don't need the month. I want to be back on social media right now. And so if you just actually listen to yourself, the energy that you're holding or the emotions that you're feeling, they want to move through you and they will move so much faster if you just listen to it in the first place. It's like if you're sick and you just keep going to work, you're going to be sick for 2 weeks. If you're sick and you just sleep for 24 hours, you usually just like get better.
that is a perfect analogy for that.
Yeah.
100%. It is wild that when you're like not feeling well and you just pass out and take NyQuil for 2 days or whatever, and you're
And
just
then you're
back
fine.
and you're fine. Yeah, it is. That's an amazing analogy with that. You I'm gonna pivot a little bit, but you have what, four social media pages or three? Three, right? Come on, Matt. You have your Maddie Maple, you have Maddie Maple clothing, you have your business. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many. It's kind of irrelevant to the question, but
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
have
I have
Instagram
quite a
pages
few.
that you have quite a few pages that you run, and I'm always curious because I've had a social media background. I run a few different things. What is your strategy over the years? How has it changed in just multi-managing those different facets?
Yeah. I feel like this whole episode is me just talking about how I just like do whatever the fuck I want because like my answer is kind of the same to like everything else you've asked.
No, that's fine.
I just like post when I post what I want when I want. That's kind of it. Like if something feels inspired, if it feels exciting, I just post it. I don't really have okay, I'll go through like phases where sometimes it feels really good to like plan things out and like I'll use later and I'll like schedule my content like a month out for my
Mhm.
coaching page. And then my assistant used to run my podcast page and she would like do everything there and we would do like reels from the podcast and we would do quotes and we were doing like a hotline. Like we've gone through a bunch of different like structures and things like that and like done the content calendars. And so I'll definitely go through phases of that where it feels really good. I'm like, I want this structure. Or if I'm like in a really big launch or something like that, I'll batch my content. Um, right now in this moment, yeah, I don't batch anything. My Yeah, I just kind of post what I want when I want. And again, it goes back to the meditation piece where a lot of times it's me, like even this morning, I had this like crazy meditation where I literally closed my eyes and immediately I could like see a reel that I was meant to create and the messages that I'm supposed to share in that reel. And I'm like sitting in meditation and I'm like, fuck, I want to create this right now. Like, this feels so exciting. Like, I love this idea. It was literally just because I like sat there for a moment. And so, yeah, I don't really like sit down and have like content pillars or anything. I really just tap into like my heart space and what wants to come through. And I just post it right away. As soon as it comes through, I'm like, post. I'll post like five
Yeah, no,
times in one day. I don't care.
no, I think that's very important because the like scheduling and the and creating the content calendar, I do kind of think per it differs because as a creator, you kind of want what you just mentioned of like you want to be more in tune with that creative side, and as something good comes in, you put it out. Whereas like if you're running the podcast, like for the podcast, is a perfect example. A little more, I almost want to say like corporate, like
Structured.
almost a little more robot, yeah, a little more structured because
Mhm.
you put the podcast out, you want clips to go out after it, and you can kind of schedule those out. It does really differ between pages. I wasn't sure though if you had like so you don't have like a day where because I know some creators, and again, I'm not this way either, or I try to be, but the more I
Yeah.
do that, the more I'm like, I don't think that's exactly how it works for me. But like try to structure it where like they shoot on XYZ day every week, and then
Yeah.
and I yeah, it's you don't do it, you're shaking your head already. You're like, no, not me.
No, I just do what I want when I want. Like, but everyone's personality is so different. But like, I hope that this inspires some people that do feel like it has to be structured or that they should be doing it that way. For some people, it really works. They're like really good at it. One person that's popping into my head that I think you know is Emma Capotis. Like that girl
Yeah.
is just like a little machine. Like she's very much like that. She has her days and she's very structured and like she doesn't miss a day and all her content goes out and it goes out on time and like it works for her and it feels good and like that's what she prefers. Um and I mentioned her because I admire her so much. She's just like a little powerhouse. Even she has a baby and then she's like creator of the year. I'm like, okay, go off, Emma. Um, um, but yeah, for like anyone listening that they've tried that way and then they're like comparing themselves and feeling like, is something wrong with me? No, not at all. People just work in different ways. Like everyone is so unique, like personalities, your astrology, your human design, how you grew up, just like the energy you have, where your health is, where your hormones are. There's so many things coming into play in terms of like what works best for you. There's some people, we were talking on the phone before we even did this podcast, and Babs was like, I am like a pen to paper person. I cannot do anything on technology. And if I tried to write pen to
This is
paper, things are going, yeah, he literally has his
I got
journal
my
out.
notebook right here.
I journal on my iPad. Like that's how, I mean, I have like a paper journal too, but love my technology. I love like all my Google Calendar, blah, blah. So just there's nothing wrong with you. Not at all. I've tried to do that in the past where I'm like, all right, Monday I'll think of ideas, Tuesday I'll get on video. But then Monday comes around and I'm like, I want to record this and I want to record it right now. Or I have an idea for a podcast instead of TikToks. And I'm never going to just like turn away an idea that's coming through so strong just because the masculine logical side of me told me like, no, today is a TikTok day. If I want to record a podcast and it is like alive and lit the fuck up and I'm getting that fuck yes, I want to squeal, I'm gonna sit down and record that podcast and like nothing will tell me otherwise. So I just do whatever I want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, I admire it and I respect it. That's kind of again, I mean, that's how you gotta approach things in that sense. You gotta have a little bit of self-centeredness. You don't want to be, I don't get the vibe from you, but like I always say this, you could be all about you and not be a dick to people. Like that's one of the things I've always said. And
Yeah.
that's I think it's so true. Is like you can know how to protect your energy and focus on you and get things done for yourself. And you don't have to be mean to other people about it. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm doing this for me, or you can just be like, yeah, it's just not feeling it. I think a lot of people get that confused sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing this for me, but they're doing it, I'm all about me, and they do it in a very rude and condescending way versus just, you know, respecting other people's energy as well and saying, hey, it's not there or whatever it is. And in any circumstance, not just what we're talking about content.
Yeah. Well, imagine like if I'm selfish and I give everything to myself, and then I inspire someone else to be selfish and they start being selfish. And then they inspire someone else. And it's this ripple where we're all then being selfish and taking care of ourselves. Then that is the greatest blessing that we could ever give each other in this planet is to be able to focus on ourselves and give to ourselves and like take care of ourselves. It's like the greatest gift ever to inspire someone to take care of themselves and focus on them is being selfless in the most beautiful way ever. And I think that there's so many other ways to help others and take care of others. And taking a day for yourself or, yeah, just being selfish in different ways is not going to like take away from the ways in which you help them. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, no, it does make sense. Yeah, I mean, it is. You gotta inspire people to, I mean, be them. That's the main. It comes back to what we were saying. Really, it's like, yeah, I inspire you to be the best version of yourself. I don't want you to, I don't want you to sacrifice everything for me and vice versa. I wouldn't do like, that how that kind of works. But anyways,
Mm.
yeah, it makes sense. Speaking of solo things, you podcast solo,
Mm-hmm.
which I think I admire, and I think I'm so curious. How does that process work for you? I mean, I know obviously you don't structure it, but I mean, in the sense of just like you just put the camera on and boom, you're going at it. Just whatever comes to mind, you're just talking about. Is that how you prep kind of for it? Like, do you do any kind of like maybe you meditate before, or how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. The creation process is very similar for my podcast than it is for or sorry. The podcast creation is very similar to Instagram or TikTok creation, where, yeah, a lot of times ideas will come to me through like meditation or just through a download. Um, I honestly like have a list at this point of just like different things that have come through that I'm still creating from. So sometimes I'll even just like go to my list or I have like random notes in my notes app and I'll find something that feels really inspired and present. And I might write down like a couple bullets. Or what really helps me to organize the way that I speak is to do like 5 tips or 5 ways or 10 things, like using some type of number. So if I'm gonna create a podcast about like how to beat self-doubt, I would do 5 ways to get rid of self-doubt. That way I can like speak about number one and yeah, I'll just like go off about it. Maybe I'll have like a story or something that I want to share and I'll like take note of that just to remind myself. But I'll just talk about it. I'll let myself go on a tangent, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as I'm done and I feel complete on like the first like tip I have, then I can go to step two. And it creates like this structure where even if I go on tangents or yeah, like a lot of times when people record solo, my clients say that they just feel all over the place. But this helps
Yeah.
you like come back to what you're actually talking about. So then you have like organized tangents. So that really helps me to kind of have like a bulleted list or a numbered list
Yeah.
of kind of like the topics and things. But
So loosely structured. Not you don't have the full thing, but you've got the skeleton of it, kind of. In a sense. That's how I'm
sometimes,
viewing it.
yeah, sometimes I really do just like show up and I'm like, what's up, guys? Like, gotta talk about this. Um, but sometimes it does have, yeah, a loose skeleton to it. Yeah.
How much would you say overthinking gets in the way of or in general, creating content for any form, podcast, TikTok, Instagram? Is that a
Mm,
big part? How do you overcome that
meditation.
meditation?
Yeah. I love how big of a theme this is. And cacao, like sitting with cacao. So, well, to answer your
What is
question,
cacao? I don't actually know.
yeah.
Not
Oh
to
my God.
interrupt, not to go off in this beautiful tangent
No,
you're gonna have. But
I'll
what is
to
cacao?
I'll
Like a
totally tell
coffee, some
you.
type of drink?
Yeah, I'll totally tell you. So cacao is what eventually gets processed into chocolate, but its pure
Whoa, okay.
form, yeah, at its
Now I
very
feel really dumb. I think I did know
no.
that.
No, there's more to it. Like at its purest form, because you couldn't just go into the grocery store and like get cacao or like get cacao nibs that you would use for baking. It has to come at a ceremonial grade, and at its purest form, it's made into a hot drink. And then when you drink that, especially in like a ceremonial space, it's considered a plant medicine. And it pretty much just like blasts your heart chakra wide open. And that's always been my thing is like the way to get out of your head is to get back into your heart. And so cacao for me is like that medicine that I can like sit down with it every day. Mostly every day, honestly. And whether I like journal with it or just meditate with it, it does help me just like get out of my headspace because overthinking definitely does get in the way. And that's why I so heavily, and like it's been coming through so much in this podcast, and why I so heavily am like, um, lean on that. If I didn't do that, overthinking would get in the way a lot more. Even if it's like very subtle. Sometimes it's not even like a very conscious overthinking. It's just like resistance coming up because you have like beliefs in the background that are stopping you from wanting to create, right? That's where that motivation gets blocked. And so as soon as I can just get out of my head, back into my heart, that's when like things start to flow more. But I mean, even my podcast, like I said, that I haven't recorded in like 6 weeks. that was not an intentional break. It just honestly like wasn't flowing. I just like don't know what to record, and I started putting some focus on like some other things I've been creating. But even just reflecting now, I'm like, am I overthinking it? Like, and I think there are pieces of it, right? Where it's like, I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to post. Should I talk about this? Should I talk about that? Should I do this? Maybe I shouldn't talk about that. Should I do longer podcasts? Should I do short? Like, there are kind of like questions that I'm not answering that I think could be preventing me from being in that flow state with that platform. Um, so yeah, like my next meditation would be like, okay, what am I meant to create on the podcast and tapping into that, getting into that space. Cause right now I'm not creating any stillness around that platform or that space. I'm literally just like, I'll think like, oh, I should record a podcast. Should I do this? Should I do this? Oh, I don't know. And then I'll just like move on to the next thing. So, you know, it comes and goes. Sometimes I'm just in flow state and there's like no thoughts. And then sometimes, yeah, it's like there's some weirdness that needs to be cleared up that's preventing me from creating.
Yeah, yeah, no, I feel that. The creator life is it's interesting because we have just like what you just said, there's moments where I'm like, I am just going, things are going great and you're loving it. And then there's moments where you're like, you're looking at your stuff and you're like, man, what am I doing? Am I on the right path right now? And
Yeah.
it's just the ups and downs of creating. Do you ever, maybe you did probably when you started, but I guess now the question is like, do you look at, you put your content out and do you look at like what it gets engagement and insight wise, or do you just kind of take that with a grain of salt? Because I know for me, if I get too into the weeds with it, I do get more like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Versus if I just put out stuff that I enjoy,
Yeah.
and again, take it with a grain of salt. Like, okay, I put out something that is obviously not doing good. I obviously need to assess that, but
Yeah.
not to the point where I'm like, oh, I need to redo everything I'm ever doing.
Totally. Yeah, it's for me too. It's like totally a mix of both. Um, of course I like look at some things like yeah, if it isn't doing well at all, I'll still like create the same content, but yeah, maybe you're formatting it in a different way, like a carousel versus a reel, right? If your reels are just like getting higher engagement, then maybe I'll focus more on reels. But like even for me, here's like a super weird one. The tweet posts just do so well for me. Even so, if I write the same thing just on like my notes app or on Canva and I put it on Instagram, it'll get super
Yeah,
low engagement. But as soon as I put it on a tweet post and it has like the little like username and profile picture, it'll get like double or triple the engagement. So I try to do tweet posts just for the sake of like, I just know people like it. But yeah, I don't create to get engagement, but I'll use my engagement to help me get what I'm creating out to more people.
people. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, yeah. You're not letting the insights control you.
Yeah, I'm not like,
You're,
what can I create today that's going to get me more likes? It's like, okay, I'm going to create
yes.
something and how can I create it to possibly get it to go out to more people?
Yeah, and I think there's way I totally agree. That's definitely the better way to do it. I think you feel better creating that stuff, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
reciprocated. The audience sees that because they're like, oh, this person enjoys what they're doing. They're not just trying to get me to click a button and follow. You know, they're just they like it, and I think as as much as social media does have its problems, I think one thing it really has done for society as a whole is it's really gotten us to where we could pick out and feel that good energy of like this person likes what they're doing. This person is just doing it for likes and follows and trying to get the money. And you can really sense that, at least in
Mm.
my opinion, I think we can. We're more in tune to that now, I think, than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like everyone's social media pages is like a trailer to a movie. Like, you can kind of judge a book by its cover, and I think you can like have so many great connections and meet so many great people because you can feel the energy through their social media and you don't have to like go to the bar and have a 15-minute conversation. You can scroll through a bunch of different profiles, through like a mutual friend's Instagram and find people to connect with that maybe you would never ever have met. And you get to see what they do for work, fun, what they like, music that they like,
Yeah.
whatever they have on their profile, right? You get to like see a little like sneak peek of them, and I personally think it's like so fun and amazing, and my life would not be the way that it is if I didn't have social media. So I'm very grateful for it.
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. And on this topic of social media, you do a phenomenal job at portraying what I think is like your authenticity on your socials. And my question to you, and probably what other some people struggle with, is was that something that came over time? Did you slowly develop that, or were you good with it at, if you're good with it at first, that's it, boom, that's the answer. But did it that something that take excuse me, I'm fumbling over my words here.
You're
Did
fine.
that take some time for you to find that authentic self and be able to post that? Because I know me, it's taken me eh, time and time again finding new things to show myself and posting and not, and of course, like you have friends that maybe don't relate to your content at all, and they're in the back of your head like, oh, they're gonna laugh at me, or they're gonna, like that takes time to get over. I still struggle with that now.
Mm, mm-hmm.
So how did you go about portraying your authentic self and maybe coming over some of those hurdles that block some creators?
Yeah. I think the more authentic you are in general, the more authentic you're gonna come off as online, especially if you're just like posting what you want. Um, if you're being your authentic self and just posting like what naturally comes through you, what you're posting is going to be authentic because it's like a natural representation of you. That's also why I like to post so much just like in the moment of like an idea that comes through or something that I see. I just like post it right away because I do feel like that is how I keep a lot of my like genuineness or genuinity. Is that a word? Genuinity? I don't think that's a word. How I stay like genuine is I just, yeah, allow things to move through me and again, just like post whatever I want and think is like fun and cute. As long as you're already being authentic in your everyday life, it is going to translate like it is. But I do think, you know, I do think it grew over time of just practice and, like, posting so much. I've probably posted on Instagram, like, 2,000 times at this point, just on my feed, right?
Mhm.
And so, I think through that, you do get to just, like, refine and, like, sometimes it's like that inner compass we were talking about where, like, sometimes I post something and I'm like, "Fuck, yes, I love this. I don't even care if it gets a lot of likes. I
Yeah,
think it's so cute. I think it's so fun." And then there's other things I post and I'm just like, "All right, that was fine." And then you just follow that inner compass. And so I do think it takes time and practice and just like playing around with it.
yeah.
Um,
I know for me, I've definitely been trying to just have fun. I'm like, if I'm having fun creating and I'm enjoying it, and then I know that I've had a good time.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I mean that I know I'm okay with putting it out. Like
Yeah.
if I, because like I will say, like a big thing for me was like overcoming what people might think. Like that's in my head, of course. Like why care? But I mean, at the end of the day, I would come to that conclusion. I'm like, I'm having fun with this. Who cares? And then that helps me ease into it of like, because I'm having fun. I'm like, oh, you're just jealous. You're not having fun with me. I'm having fun by myself making these videos. Like, and then you
Exactly.
get to a point like I have some friends who always, guy friends are always different. Guys are they're gonna give me shit.
Yeah.
That's how they're gonna show that they love me. But sometimes they give me shit, and then you're like, oh man, that would hurt. And they're like, hey, we're just giving you shit because we could never do that, And
Yeah.
that's even refreshing to hear. You're like, all right, that's true. And then now
It's
I
so
know if they
real.
do give me shit, I'm like, you just can't do this. You wish you could get on camera and make yourself look like a goofball. You couldn't do
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. No, it's so real. A lot of times it is jealousy. But for me, honestly, like I feel it might be the Pisces in me that's like very much in my own world, but I just feel like the people that are judging my social media don't exist. Like I know they're there and I acknowledge that and like but I don't know, they just like I'm kind of delusional. Like I'm just like they don't exist.
So if I do, the reason I care because I'm a Sagittarius, is that why I care more?
Wait,
Is
you're
that
a
an
Sagittarius? Is
explanation?
that what you said?
I'm a Sagittarius. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know that much about Sagittarius, if I'm being
I just
honest.
know I'm a fiery sign, apparent, a fire sign.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an Aries, so I'm also fiery and very like passion oriented, so
We
that might be a part of it too. Like I just kind of bulldoze my way through. I'm just like, I don't care.
Wait, but
I
you just
like
said
this.
you had the Pisces in you. Wait, do you mean like?
I'm a Pisces moon.
Oh, I forgot about all those.
Yeah, there's like, oh my God, you have so many different energies within you. But I'm like a Pisces moon, and Pisces energy is very like, yeah, it's just like in your own world. It's like I know they exist and I know that they're there, but like on a day to day, I'm not like, what about the people that hate me? I'm like, oh my God, my followers are gonna love this one. Like, yeah, my perspective is so focused on that.
I want to. Oh, dang it! I don't know which. You know, on I've done this once before on Snapchat. Now they have all of your signs. Do you
Oh,
know
really?
this?
No,
So, do you have your phone next to you, or you can pull up Snapchat?
I don't have my um I don't think I have Snapchat on this one.
So you can go to your you go to like your little person. Can't like share my. You go to like your person. I'm not. Oh, I
Yeah.
shouldn't put that on the camera. But you click you click below it, and there's like a your sign. You click your sign, and then it like brings up your whole. Oh yeah, I
Oh,
forgot your
wow.
whole like calendar. And so then you can like your sun, your moon, your rising, your or yeah, your rising, your Mercury. It has everything. It's everything in there. We'll look at it later. We'll look
I'll
at it
look
when we're
at it
not recording.
later. Yeah, that's actually
But
crazy. I didn't know that they added that feature, but that's smart on Snapchat.
yeah, we had some podcasts where we went through like Aid actually was like, you don't know any of yours? I was like, and now I closed. She's like, let's just go through them all. And she showed me that. We went through all of them. There was some where she was like, no way. Oh my God. And I was like, all right, yeah, I don't I don't know
That's
too much
so
about.
funny. Shout
I
out
know the
Aid. Love
basics,
you,
but
Aid.
yes, shout out Aid. She's awesome. I had one more question relating to social media. Where'd it go? It's gone. It's in the it has nothing to do with social media. I remember what it was. But how did you get into your DJing and because you DJ also under the name Maddie Maple, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so did you, I mean, obviously I can understand how you got into it. You like a raving, you started to play, but like, do you dedicate X amount of time to practicing that? Or is that also just like I feel like I'm ready to go, I'm gonna go type of thing? Because the reason I ask is because I love to DJ when I can. I find for me, I have a hard time finding time to do it out of like when I'm having like people over or something. And I want to do it more, and it'll get there eventually where I'll figure it out. But it's so
Mm-hmm.
new that I'm not sure when I can squeeze it in, and I'm more curious of that for my own self-interest and than the podcast. But how did you get into it? And yeah, do you set time aside? How often do you play and practice and all that stuff?
Yeah, totally. So when I went to my very first festival, I bought a DJ controller like immediately and I was like
Oh,
trying to
that's
DJ. Oh, I was like, the
I
desire was
love that
there
though.
from the beginning. I was like, I want to be a DJ. Had no idea what I was doing. And so I tried for like a month and I was like, okay, I'm kind of over this. I was like focused on other things. So I just like got rid of the controller and never touched it again until I took my siblings to their first festivals. And the same thing, they're like, we want to get into the music scene. We all like are very musical, and my dad had like an electronic band and he was a DJ, and so it's in our blood. So they started DJing and I was like, wait, I always wanted to do this. Now my siblings are doing it. So they really inspired me. And for my birthday last year, 1 year, like pretty much 1 year ago, my brother gifted me his DJ controller, which is like a nicer one. And I remember, Babs, I literally feel like I didn't like eat or sleep for 2 days. I literally was just like, I'm gonna be a DJ. I could not stop mixing. I yeah, and then I probably practiced like every single day for a while, just like I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get good at it. And then I can't remember. Oh, my friend was like throwing a pool party, or I like messaged one of the local DJs and I was like, hey, I really want to play a show. Can I like open for you if you do like a small event? He was like, yeah, for sure. And then finally, like 2 months later, he was like, I'm doing this pool party. You can come be like the opener to the opener. And I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. I went into this pool party and from there, people like noticed me and it just like, yeah, just
Just kept rolling once it
snowballed.
started. Yeah.
Yeah, I started getting more gigs and then I started, obviously like getting people to help me get even better. And yeah, now at this point in my journey, I wouldn't say that I practice every day. I would say I have like a couple gigs a month and then I maybe practice a couple times a month. Um, like if I just need to like warm up on my skills, like I need to just like freshen
Yeah. Yeah.
up. But now I'm starting to get into producing, which is like a whole other beast, and we will see how that goes. And that's probably going to need to be an everyday thing for a while to like get that foundation. So I think once you have your foundation, you're chilling. But I would definitely say it took me like a couple months of daily practicing to get to a place where I felt like really good about going on stage. Yeah, longer than a
What?
couple months, probably.
And I apologize for not knowing this prior to, but what genre are you trying or subgenre of EDM are you predominantly going for
Yeah, so I play
when you're DJing?
house. I
I
play
thought so, but
house.
I didn't want to I didn't want to speak or guess out of turn. So
Yeah, no, you're good. It's more like G house and like sexy house. Like I don't know if you know like Cobra. It's not technically
I'm
tech
just getting
house.
I'm just getting into the whole house scene, to be honest. I've been such a bass and melodic bass person for a
Mm,
while, and this past year, house has really started to take hold into my playlist. And I
okay.
actually believe it or not, what really got me into house was I just liked to DJ it. That's what I love to DJ more than anything. I like bass; it gets me excited, but something about me putting a house set on and mixing for
Yeah.
my friends is way more fun for me for some reason.
Yeah, totally. I feel kind of similar like to DJ, I prefer house, but I actually really, really love bass music. Like I've grown to like really love bass music. So I'm a little bass head now, but maybe
So
I'll
when
do
you started in festivals, you didn't like bass, and you now you do.
yeah. I don't really like dub like a ton of dubstep. It depends. Like I'm a little bit picky with my bass music, but I'm also very picky with my house music too. I'm a music snob. But yeah, there's some dubstep because my experience was like my friends wanting to see Slander and Nightmare Good Vibrations for the 13th time. And like I just kind of wasn't all about it. Then I started getting introduced to like really good bass music. I saw a Subtronic set that changed my life, and then I went to Envision for the first time, which is like completely different experience. Um, and then I
That's some
started
different
like,
bass music.
yeah, and then I saw like Yuki and ATLiens and like some more like experimental bass artists, and I was like, oh
Yeah,
fuck. Actually, I love bass. I just maybe don't like good vibrations. So, hot
yeah,
take.
yeah. That no, you're good. I get it. As experiment, it's funny. I've started to. I always was told that you would like as a raver, you like dubstep or you see a lot of dubstep in your early years, and then you kind of start branching off, and you either go one of two ways: you go the experimental bass route, or you go house. And I mean, I like both, but I have been listening. It's funny, I like both, but I've been just doing more house recently. But there are some experimental bass and some bass songs and artists that still, yeah, I absolutely love and I can get down to. So it's funny how you just branch into one of the two, or you go to both places.
Mm,
So,
mm-hmm.
um, uh, you also DJ at your retreats that you put on, right? That's part
Mm-hmm.
of the whole experience. How did you
Yeah.
get into doing the retreats? I'm so curious about this. I honestly think it's so amazing that you do them for starters because you bring, if I'm correct, it's like you host X amount of girls to come down for an empowerment weekend. You're doing everything you've kind of spoken about. You're doing meditation. You're doing soul searching in a sense, or to dumb it down for me, my apologies, but like soul searching to find your authentic self. And you're also DJing. You're having a great time. It's a little mix of everything. I don't want to speak out of turn. I want you to tell us about it. But how did you get into the retreats, and starting
Yeah.
them? I'm sure that was a big jump for you. It sounds like it in my head, like going from coaching and then being like, I'm putting on a retreat.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the same arena. It's just pretty much doing coaching, but in person. I mean, so obviously there's so much more that you add to that experience of actually hosting people in person, but it's like big jump, but not too big. And I'm very, very blessed that I got to start co-hosting with my co-host Bianca. Um, and so it was a pretty smooth transition, and I got to jump into something and really help co-create something that she was already creating that was like very, very special. I also do my own retreats, which are kind of like a different experience, but I would love to just talk about Evolve, my Costa Rica retreats, because that's really like the main event. Like that is the creme de la creme of retreats, and what I would say is like one of the best retreats in the world. And that's not me like even bragging or tooting my own horn. Like we really have created something super special. So I'm very, very grateful. Essentially, Bianca just invited me to her creator retreat. She does retreats also for content creators on TikTok. So she just reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, I'm doing this retreat for content creators. I love your content. You should come to Costa Rica." And within 2 weeks, I had sold everything I owned. I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, hopped on a one-way flight down to Costa Rica, and literally just changed my whole entire life in the matter of like 24 hours. And I met Bianca, and it was just like the universe had 100% led me there. It was very divine. Again, I'm like very grateful. Me and Bianca just immediately were like, we're trying to create the same thing. And yeah, she invited me to be her co-host. And the rest is history. We're about to host our seventh retreat together, and it'll be my ninth retreat in total in 2 years. So kind of crazy.
That is awesome. No, that's a great origin story. I love that. That's amazing. Um, During the retreats, when you say it's in person, are you in, I don't want to give anything away, obviously, but like, are you doing one-on-one stuff, or is it more group, or is it a mix of both? If you can speak to it, of course.
No, yeah, I can share anything. It's more group. Our retreats are very much about like soul sisters and community, and all of the experiences we do are in a group. That being said, there's a lot of time for one-on-one support just in our free time or when we're in some of our experiences. Like, obviously, just in natural conversation, or sometimes the girls will pull one of us away and, like, hey, I really want your support. I want to talk to you about something. So, there is like one-on-one support going on just naturally.
Yeah, okay.
But, most of the experiences we do, it's very much about like the sisterhood and all of us going through things together. And it's very much like a festival vibe. So, although there is a lot of like deep healing, there's also just like a lot of dance, a lot of music, a lot of connection, a lot of laughter. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's bringing people together that all are wanting to do the same thing and learn and grow about one another from my assumption on the outside, and that
Mhm.
creates like a fertile ground in which everyone can do it and grow together. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
No, I love the way those guys do those retreats. Funny enough, I did not know you worked with Bianca, but I followed her for a while now on TikTok, and it was a few years ago. She messaged me about going to some, I think, a creator one. I think that one's a little bit of everybody, and yeah, I couldn't make it that on that notice. I'm like you did. I was like, oh, that's I applaud that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
uh,
I know she mentioned
but
that she talked to you, and I was like, that's so funny. I just booked a podcast with him. It was like super random. Like you came in conversation, like, yeah, just at a very divine time. So it's been
that's awesome. That seems funny. But I love that you guys put those on. I think that's very important. I think it really helps people in their process of their life and their path, and especially with everything we've talked about today with the authenticity and everything, and that helping find. I think helping find that and learning about yourself is just so important for not only the good of the world, because once you kind of work on yourself, you can start helping with other things, but just in an individual sense of the finding your path and going on it and loving every moment of it.
mm,
It's something to strive for. It's inspiring. But with that being said, I've got one more question for you. It's the biggest one. It's the theme of the podcast. We've talked for a while now, but how are you living yourself for every day?
yeah. I love this question. And I feel like we've already talked about it so much.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's funny how this whole podcast has been very like cohesive, like the same kind of themes like keep coming up, which is like really fun. But I think the main word that comes up for me is just like the authenticity piece. Like how do I like live myself like every single day? Yeah, it's like that inner compass. It's tuning into my intuition, following what feels good to me, and yeah, just not having any rules. Like anytime my brain says like something should be a certain way, like listen for your shoulds. They should do this. They should do this. I should do this. Things should be this way. Like notice that because you're not living your full self. You're not actually living your dream life when you are putting expectations on how things should be, because it's just made up. You're like making up a rule. So follow what feels good. That is the most like important thing ever. And yeah, just say fuck it and do what feels good.
Say fuck it and do it feels good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I it is it's weird because especially both of us going full circle here grew up with a religious background, and it's weird that for so long you're taught and told like these things, and granted, some of those teachings are good. I'm not going to say they aren't. They teach you to be a good person and everything, but it is weird how then when you break out of that, it's like a whole new discovery of oneself. And looking back, it's almost like some of those teachings could be interpreted in a way of helping you grow to be that best person, but they've made it more about the figurehead. And it's just, yeah, but it is a process to find yourself. Even people that aren't in the church or have a church background, it is not a difficult, or I'm sorry, it's not an easy path to sit and find yourself, at least not in my opinion. But it's so key and vital with helping you navigate that path in life. I mean, as we've said numerous times, it's so much easier when you're in tune with yourself and your gut to then be on that right path and know what you want to do and have fun doing it. And but it's not an easy task at hand.
Yeah, not at all. But it's worth it.
It is. It is worth it in the end. Well, Maddie, tell everyone where they can follow you. I would go so much more deeper on that, but we've honestly been hitting it, like you said, the whole podcast a lot. So
Yeah,
I think people get the gist of it, and it is, again, not to cut it short, but it is so important. Be that authentic self, love yourself, and trust those gut instincts. Again, I don't want to take away from it, but we talked about it for like an hour now, which is awesome. um, but tell people where they can follow you. I'll also make sure to get those into the podcast descriptions, but promote whatever it is you would like to promote.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that last question, it's more profound to have it just short and sweet. Like that's the lesson. So I'm glad that we're ending off with that. And yeah, it was so nice to connect. If anyone wants to connect with me more, I'm on Instagram. Like we talked about, I have quite a few accounts, so I'm sure Babs can link them. But I have a Madi Maple coaching account, which is where I really focus on working with coaches and entrepreneurs, and other women that just want to live an extraordinary life. I teach on confidence and business. So if you're interested in like coaching and you're like a woman entrepreneur, you can hang out there. Then I also have my Maddie Maple official account, which is more like my DJ page. And then I also have a retreat account for my Costa Rica retreats. And then I also have a podcast called Breaking Butterfly, which I love to hang out on. But I shared in this episode, I have not recorded a new episode in a minute. But I have like so many episodes already recorded and waiting if you want to tune in with me there. And yeah, I have a retreat in Costa Rica this June. I only have like 5 spots left, but if anyone felt the pull as I was talking about Costa Rica, let me know. That's like my next big event that I would love to host you at. So yeah,
Well,
that's me.
fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on. Like I said, this was an awesome conversation. I literally took notes from some of the things you said. I wasn't ignoring you by
Amazing.
looking down. I was writing some things. It was
No, you're good.
chock full of great information. I'm so excited for when this comes out. I hope someone listening takes something away from this, because this was one of those podcasts that had a lot and a lot of good stuff.
Mm,
It was awesome. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back on at some point. I would love that. But thank you so much. Without that,
Yeah,
and right, everybody, peace.
I would love to. Thank you. Bye, guys.